excited to see this mech play, this unusual play come out of ThorZaIN, but you know it's always a pain to see when it falls apart to just the slightest inconsistencies in defense.
Yeah, again, you highlighted very, very rightly. The missile turret, just one missile turret would have been able to shut down a lot of that because, you know, if the infestors don't get in, then he doesn't have to start saying, oh, well, where do I go? Do I bounce back and forth to actually defend the roaches and the infestors? What do I do? All his army is just at the front, stable, steady, ready to greet the roaches, and he would have been much happier.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning up in the top right, sponsored by AZUBU, it is viOlet.
And spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner as our blue Terran, we do indeed have Mr. EGThorZaINRC.
Ohana is a map that is much better for mech. Would once again be thrilled to see it be incorporated. But, you know, at the same time, viOlet has been doing a couple of things that other players are not doing versus mech. He is really, really comfortable sticking in the mid game for much longer, upgrading a lot of missile attack upgrades, opting to get burrow extremely quickly. All these things are really smart because they help exploit mobility.
Yeah, I like... My personal preference going into a mid-game as a Zerg against some kind of mech play is going for both missile upgrades and melee upgrades and just forgoing the carapace. I just feel you end up... Because, you know, Zerglings and Roaches are actually attacking relatively fast compared to a mech play, you know, a mech composition. So, and look at this once again, command center first, viOlet trying to block that off. But the carapace doesn't really do too much against those big chunky damage units such as the Thor and the Siege Tank. So, for me, personal preference, definitely missile and melee upgrades. Very nice.
viOlet going for the standard early expando and the standard early pool, and ThorZaIN going for the vulnerable but increasingly standard command center first. And it's actually kind of funny. I think that the one player who almost gave all others permission to do this was Flash, who infamously against Life did it every single game, even after he saw a 10 pool in the first one, just kept doing it and had excellent answers and excellent defenses against those 10 pool plays. Made people go, oh, maybe this is a lot safer than I imagined. So even then, players are cutting corners like crazy, such as this. Barracks, Refinery, and one Marine defense we see ThorZaIN doing, but yet again we see viOlet with a fast gas, so ThorZaIN does need a little bit, teensy bit more defense.
Yeah, ThorZaIN just grabbing himself the gas, as you rightly pointed out, and this is just going to be transitioning him onto those Hellions, etc. But viOlet, meanwhile, has he actually spotted that is the question? Yes, he has. So now he should be able to assume that his opponent might be a little bit Marine light in the earlier stages of this game, and as such, he might have a little bit of an opportunity to exploit, but with the bunker going down for ThorZaIN, he's getting his defenses up nicely positioned.
Yeah, I do like this early bunker play, but look at this, viOlet going for a Swift Roach Warren. Yet another way to exploit players going for this very fast gas type of answer. It's a little bit more defensive than the fast Ling play. But I will say I prefer the Speedling play to the Roach play. You have the option to retreat. It's less of an investment, but it doesn't pack quite the punch that this Roach play does. Let's see how many Roaches we're going to see out of viOlet.
Yeah, I like what you say about it being slightly defensive, because even if it doesn't do damage with those initial Roaches when they move back, they can still come back and be very, very defensive against the Hellions. But look at what ThorZaIN's up to. He's actually throwing down the second and third barracks here to deal with maybe some potentially oppression.
Excellent. We are seeing more and more and more of this play out of Terran players as of late. They're just going back to the more traditional early pressure play. And this is what we were talking about right at the start of the Cloud versus Dimaga series, that sure, there's this vulnerable point from 13 to 17 minutes when the Zerg has everything at layer tech, but nothing at hive tech. This is going to strike before the Zerg can really even make that much use of layer tech, and is going to need to spend gas on things like Roaches and Banelings instead of on Infestors and upgrades.
Look at this. We have the standard 9 roaches on the way here for viOlet. They're moving out into the middle of the map right now. They get spotted by the Hellions, so he knows that this aggression is on the way. He needs a ton of Marines out very, very quickly, but thanks to the fact, if he hadn't got this second and third barracks, he would have been in so much trouble. Now, he's in a little bit of trouble, but nowhere near as much as he would have been. Oh, he's supply block.
Oh gosh, the supply block is gonna sting. He is getting his next Marauder out. ThorZaIN is just going to reposition. And once Mr. Marauder's out, that's going to be all she wrote for this aggression. He's going to be able to pick this off quite swiftly. An attempted run up on the ramp, picking off a couple of units, pull that Marauder back, and viOlet is really being forced to deal as much damage as possible with this.
This is the great thing about what we've seen Terrans do in terms of the evolution of just the bunker placement than anything. If you put it in front of your natural ramp, then all of this couldn't as easily be shut down. viOlet would have just said, I'll just run past that bunker and put on the pressure. But if you put it near your ramp, look how easy that was for ThorZaIN to deal with. That was very, very nicely done by our Terran player.
And ThorZaIN doing the great response, building a command center. He's even getting the add-ons on these barracks. And in a moment, ThorZaIN's going to be able to commence a rather large push. He's going to have the Marauder Hellion Marine composition. He's going to have Stim. I mean, this is tough for viOlet to hold off because he doesn't even have speed for Zerglings yet.
Yeah, this is one of the builds from Terran that it's not exactly a blind counter to what viOlet's done, but it's certainly a big counter. If he moves out, as you said, with the Marauders, with Hellions, with Marines, there's so much DPS that it has the potential of being done there to this composition of viOlet that it's... I mean, look at this. He's having to wall off. He's trying to make it as narrow as possible at his natural. He's trying to go for any little bigger morsel of defense that he can do against the very scary position that ThorZaIN's in.
Oh, this is just an excellent, excellent spot for ThorZaIN. He's doing the scan. He's even going to try to make a little march up to this high ground. He can, at the very least, pick off 1 or 2 roaches. And, oh, he stims, and he's darting right on up. Marines are at the front. Would normally be a big problem, but there are just no Zerglings out here right now. There, the Zerglings start to spring up, and ThorZaIN has decided to go big. He's running by with the Hellions. He's trying to get good shots on those drone lines, and that is exactly what he is going to get. ThorZaIN has just done some huge damage to AZUBU's viOlet. I mean, he picked off the Queen, he picked off units. Most importantly, he has delayed the upgrades. He is ahead of the Zerg player on the 1-1.
And all the while behind that, he just grabbed himself his plenty of SCVs. So very, very nice poke up there by ThorZaIN. And viOlet, though, his Zergling sprung out at just the right time. He's actually pushing all across the map here with some really nice counter-aggression. And ThorZaIN might be in a little bit of trouble here.
ThorZaIN didn't get the combat shield upgrade. This is hurting him so badly. This is some excellent positioning, but viOlet has really evened the score up from that last engagement from ThorZaIN.
Oh, and he salvaged the bunker, so any kind of ulterior defenses that he would have had after when that counterattack came along were just negated by the fact that he didn't have that bunker. So ThorZaIN right now still powering out a few siege tanks, still grabbing himself plenty of Marines. He's got medevacs out as well. He has good longevity and good tech, I would say. But viOlet has got his good tech going as well. He's got pathogen glands as well as 6 infestors on the way. So both these players into the mid game looking pretty even right now, I would say.
This is going to be kind of a funky mid game because viOlet is getting out the ever-infamous Infestor Zergling mid-game, will soon follow it up with the 2-2 upgrades, has the macro hatch, but that third base is late. That is a very, very late third base. So ThorZaIN is not really going to be able to put on a huge amount of attack pressure, but his upgrades are looking good. And when that 2-2 is done, ThorZaIN's going to make a push up against a almost no-gas Zerg.
Oh no, and Sean, I was watching ThorZaIN's third base, and I was going to say, wow, that was really clever what he did. He lands his command center whilst the creep's receding to get a few extra SUVs out. But as he got those SCVs, 4 Zerglings came up and nibbled away at them, negating his nice cute play. Because normally, Terrans will just keep it like floating and wait for it to recede and then just go away. But, oh, poor ThorZaIN. He was trying to be meticulous, but it didn't work out in the end.
And there we see a couple of drones manages to get totally fungled. So that will shut down that drop aggression. Still, I wouldn't say that that was a lost play for ThorZaIN now that he's gotten that medevac out, and he also wasted a little bit of Infestor energy. ThorZaIN's looking quite good in this position. Once he walls off his front, he's going to be fine with just tanks, Marines, and upgrades.
Yeah, those Marines trying to move away here from the Zerglings. They do not want to go near those Infestors that have very, very nice amounts of energy. And as you said, getting that Sim City up at his third is so important here. He has good tank positioning as well, and he's still going for more drop play here. So, and hopefully for ThorZaIN, he should be able to spot the Hive as well with this drop.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't change ThorZaIN's plan too much, but at the very least, he knows exactly where he's at, and we see, oh man, viOlet's trying to put on a little bit of pressure. viOlet's running up with Lings at the front, and it looks like ThorZaIN will be able to do that lift in time, and meanwhile in the main base, ThorZaIN target fires the pool. This is a devastating blow for viOlet. He's going to lose almost everything.
Oh wow, losing that pool that's a big score there for ThorZaIN. One Zergling managed to get into ThorZaIN's main and actually delayed a little bit of mining time. All the SCVs got pulled off to try and clean that up. But you're right, this pool going down, that's a big deal. You don't see that happen too often, and right now he can't produce any very, very important Zerglings.
And oh, the Infestors are trying to do their little counterattack at the backside, but this is one of these moves that's either going to work out great or backfire miserably. One scan from ThorZaIN, and the largest piece of viOlet's defense is gone. But if ThorZaIN gets in the wrong place, he's going to lose all his SCVs back home.
Yep, and he is moving out here, so viOlet checks with one Infestor, sees where his opponent's army is, and as such, he can now just throw down a ton of Infestor Terrans around this command center. ThorZaIN sees it instantly, though, and will pull back for now. No Fungals go down, but the Infested Terrans might actually be able to kill off this orbital command. Is he going to be able to bring it down? Drops the scan, trying to kill off those Infestors as well. Spreads out his Marines. This is a lot of free damage.
Oh, no. Oh, viOlet. This was the mistake he was hoping to avoid. This is the risk of doing these burrow counterattacks. In one short scan, it's going to be see you later every Infestor that viOlet has at this attack.
And a drop actually gets shut down up to the north as well here. Nice play by viOlet with the Fungal and the Infested Terrans. But had viOlet just gone for SCVs instead of the big prize of a command center, I think he would have done quite a bit of damage. But I mean, with ThorZaIN's army positioning, he was never really going to get out as long as ThorZaIN was being, once again, meticulous about his control.
Yeah. I think viOlet's doing the smart play, saying, you know what? I don't even think I have enough gas to do anything Hive-like, so I'm going to get the extra macro hatches. It looks like he should be researching that adrenal gland upgrade. Would be the smart play. I mean, look at the money that viOlet has, plenty to just flood on Zerglings, so he wants to get those as upgraded as possible.
And he even has the macro hatch down with that, as well as an Ultralisk Cavern going down. This is becoming so popular on Ohana. It was already popular. Fungals actually land in the middle of the map here, trying to lock down a ton of those siege tanks, but there's so much firepower here from ThorZaIN. He should be able to shut this down and push it back.
And he needs to have some retreat Fungals. He doesn't have them. See you later. Every single Infestor there. Still no adrenal gland upgrade from viOlet. He absolutely must get that up. That is the only thing helping keeping alive.
For now, the Infestor's still trying to shark around in the middle of the map. ThorZaIN, though, is putting on pressure at his opponent's fourth base whilst grabbing his own fourth command center. So at this point in time, viOlet is looking a little bit constricted here. We can compare this game really well to what we saw with Damaga versus Cloud. viOlet is just not playing this out well. He's not getting any creep spread, he's not getting a ton of map control, and from that point on, ThorZaIN has been allowed to just macro up profusely with such a strong army, and Fungals trying to lock this down, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Oh, ThorZaIN in an excellent position, up on the high ground. Little itty-bitty attacks here and there, little itty-bitty edges here and there gives ThorZaIN the big, big lead, and GG, we are tied up 1-1.